Well, guys, I guess there's no way around it sometimes. You got to go straight through it. I've got cancer. This is going to be harder than I thought. So I came here with every intention to actually do an EDC video. I felt like, number one, I needed a break from the current series that I'm doing. It's been very expensive. And number two, I felt like I needed to get back to some basics so that we could lead up to the Minuteman kit that I was talking about. We've been doing a lot of really cool stuff, with the budget SHTF rifle build, and then going from mild to wild, and then talking about support gear. And I've been pretty pumped about that series. But honestly, it's been pretty expensive, and things come up, like $2,000 for tires on your Jeep, or, life-changing information. So not long ago, I was on the road for 3 weeks, and I had 5 engagements to be at. I had been outside for the entirety of that. Anybody who's been on the road knows that the road definitely takes a toll on you. But I woke up at the last engagement. I got through the first day on Friday, and then Saturday I woke up and I knew something was wrong. I had a headache. The back of my throat was killing me. It felt like razor blades in my throat. I was dizzy. I was kind of nauseous. I just didn't feel very good. And I sat in my hammock for a little while and I thought about it, because I haven't missed an engagement in 20 years. When I got up to try to walk, I was like out of breath. And so that was the decision to go to the event coordinator. And, that was really hard for me, because people had paid good money for these classes, and I just felt like I was letting everybody down bad, like hardcore. I'd never done that before. That was a new experience for me. They were very kind to me. One of them looked in the back of my throat and realized that I had an ulcer on my epiglottis, and was like, hey, don't worry about it. Get to the doctor, keep us updated. You can come back and teach again. So I packed everything up. I went home, got my wife. We went to one of these, pop-up clinics or whatever. And I had asked for a few things myself, being a former first responder. I was like, look, I need a blood panel, and I need this shot, and I need, all the things or whatever. They just kind of laughed at me a little bit, because they understood. They were really cool about the whole thing. And through the process of discovery, I ended up having to get a sonogram on my throat. And that's when they found 2 tumors on the right side of my thyroid. So obviously they were like, you got to go to a specialist. The only problem was that there were no specialists available until November. So my dad, he was a pharmacist for 50 years, and he pulled some strings and got me in at Emory. So obviously, they wanted to do another scan on it, and sure enough, confirmed it. They measured everything out. They have a scale. The prognosis was kind of like, well, you definitely have to get a biopsy. But, at first, they were like 50-50 about the whole thing. Like, this could be good, this could be bad. So then I went and got the biopsy. And I got to tell you, that is on my list of top 5 things that you don't ever want to have to do. All I could do when I was on the table, they do give you a local. But once they go past the local, like, oh my God, stabbing you in the throat. All I could think of when I was on the table was, there's somebody in the world that has it worse than you. I mean, they really get in there, and they're jabbing up and down, and they're going around to get the samples, and you have to do that 5 times. I do not want to ever have to do that again. So then comes the tumultuous period where you have to wait on the results. And that's when the specialist came back and said, you need to see a surgeon. So we go to the surgeon. They look at all the findings. You know, they were great, easy to talk to. You know, had me convinced everything was going to be okay. And then they asked for one more sonogram, you know, a pre-op kind of thing. And that's when they discovered 3 more tumors on the left side and determined that that one of them was much larger than, you know, the other side. You know, the good news at the time was that it was operable. And so, you know, I guess honestly, I was probably in a little bit of shock at the time, and I thought, okay, it's operable. The thing is, at the beginning, when it was just half of the thyroid, you know, I was okay with it. They said, you know, look, it's operable, it hasn't spread. We're gonna just pull out, you know, the right side of your thyroid, and everything's gonna be okay. You may not even need to take medicine afterwards. You know, I was really hopeful, you know, with that prognosis. When they found the other tumors though, I knew, because we had talked about it, that that meant that the whole thyroid was gonna have to come out. And what that meant was that I was gonna have to take medicine for the rest of my life. Now, as a former first responder who's had to go to disaster zones, I talk about it in my videos a good bit. I've seen people when they don't have their meds, and I've always encouraged y'all to have, you know, at least a 3-day supply, and then try to build up to a week and 2 weeks and a month and then 3 months if you can. I know how tough that is to do, and that realization set in with me, like, you have become that person and you're gonna have to do those things. That was probably honestly the worst part of it. I grew up where my mom, she had to take like all these meds. It almost seemed like a meal, and I just had told myself over my whole life, like, I do not want to be that guy, right? I don't want to be dependent on a bunch of meds for the rest of my life. And I think that realization just kind of hit me hard at the time. Now, I am also the type of guy where I do not like being the center of attention when it comes to stuff like this. Obviously, my friends and my family, everybody was concerned, but I went to a family function where everybody was just touching me different and they were talking to me different, and that just made me like totally uncomfortable. And so I went into a mode where I just wasn't like telling anybody, kind of going into my cave and just kind of being reclusive about it. I just didn't want people to know. What I can say is that, you know, obviously some of my friends and my family, they were freaking out, obviously. I mean, way more than I was. And I guess that was more of like at the initial stages of it. But what I can say about my friends and my family, they have been incredibly supportive. They've sent me all kind of, there's been so much support. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I've had a lot of products sent to me. I've had a lot of, you know, herbal stuff sent to me, articles, support, prayer, good wishes, you know, routine phone calls just to see how I'm doing. You know, my family in Field of Fires and my family at Survival Dispatch, I can't say enough. I love all of you. Thank you so much for not making me feel like a specimen in a lab. I am a firm believer, and it's much easier to say it when you don't need to say it, when you're just saying it to say it. But I am a firm believer in being positive. There are things in our lives that we can control, and then there's things that we can't. I'm sure initially for me, part of it was, you know, kind of like going through the stages of grief, right? You know, there was denial at times, there was, you know, bargaining at times, but eventually you get to a point of acceptance, and it's like, okay, you know, what can I do about this? Well, the only thing that I can really control is my reaction to it. So I've just tried to stay really positive about the whole thing. And, you know, I know that there's risks involved in the surgery. It's scheduled for July 1st. So if y'all would just send, you know, positive vibes and pray for me, please. And for some reason, I'm not like really worried about the surgery. I think what I'm worried about is after that. They told me that I might need to have speech therapy. I mean, y'all watched me in my videos. Sometimes I struggle to speech properly anyway. And I tend to just leave those in there for y'all so you can get a good laugh. Heck, sometimes I need a good laugh looking at myself. You know, and when the surgeon who's head of surgery at Emory in Atlanta, by the way, he was telling me, you know, hey, you know, it's gonna be okay. You'll get through this. And all I could tell him was, you know, hey, my voice is my moneymaker, so, you know, do a good job. So ironically, when I first sat down here, it was raining a little bit, and now the sun has come out, and I think I feel better now that I just got this off of my chest, or I guess maybe I should say out of my throat. The thing is, over my entire life, I've always been like the go-to kind of guy, and I had this real passion for helping people out. And I've seen people suffer, and you know, I guess it's what I've done is probably like when a missionary goes to a third world country and they just see those kind of living conditions and they develop a passion for wanting to help people, because it is addictive. But I also tell people in real life, I have, as a first responder, I mean, the number one thing that people have said to me in the field was, I never thought it would happen to me. Well, I'm right there right now. Like, I never thought that would happen to me. But my mom, she used to always tell me, this too shall pass. You know, sometimes you just got to let go and let God. So I guess I'm sorry that it took me so long to tell you guys. I guess I just didn't want people worried about me. You know, the whole mission set, the whole reason that I do what I want to do is because I want to help people. And the truth is, sometimes, you know, you've got to lower your pride, set your ego by the door, and you got to say, hey guys, I need some help now. God, that's hard for me to say. I debated on whether I should even make this video or not. It's kind of impromptu. Like I said, I was going to do another video today, and I don't know, it was just weighing heavy on my heart, and I felt like I needed to do this video, and I knew I was going to have to do it at some point, because I mean, what if y'all were just watching videos and then all of a sudden I sound like, you know, Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch? I knew at some point I was going to have to do a video on it anyway, and I don't expect this to get many views at all. But for those of you that have been watching and supporting the channel and the mission, thank you. I love you. Don't worry about me. Just send out positive thoughts. Pray for me. That's really all I'm asking for. So maybe now that I've gotten this out of the way, I can go back to making the videos that I was making. I've really enjoyed the journey that we've been on here recently. It's something that I've always wanted to do. And I gotta say, it's been difficult. All right, it's cost me a lot of money. I've just had stuff over my entire life, you know, just kind of paying it forward as you go. And I kind of wanted to go back to the very beginning and see what that was like, just to remind me. So I will continue down that path is what I'm saying. And I just want all of you to know that I love you. And until next time, keep fueling those fires.